welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from British Columbia, somewhere. And today's verse is 1 Peter 4:2. So as to live the rest of the time in the flesh, no longer for the lusts of men, but for the will of God. Now this comes after last week's verse, and I have the link up here, that talks about if he who has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. So in other words, suffering in the flesh is surrendering every part of our being, that he could have it all. If he wants my pocketbook, if he wants my diet, if he wants my hobbies, if he wants my politics, if he wants my RV, if he wants my sexuality, if he wants my marital status, whatever in my life that he wants, he could have it. And sometimes he has to wrestle it out of me, and that can be a suffering thing. But that there's a sub point at which he comes in, and I have surrendered everything to him in love, and he's now running the show. And once I've suffered that much, surrendered that much to him, and he's running the show, then yes, I've ceased from sin, or at least ceased from the power of sin over my life. And as long as I'm hands off, he could run my life. And of course, as long as he's running it, then I can't sin. It's impossible. Now, am I a perfect person yet? Not quite. I still may reach over and grab that steering wheel, which is a bad thing to do. But he's at least in control now and will discipline me anytime that I try to reach over and slap my hand away and work out my salvation with fear and trembling. Now, this says here, so as to live the rest of the time in the flesh, so the rest of my days on this earth with this fleshly tent I'm wearing, no longer for the lusts of men, but for the will of God. There's a dichotomy there. There's no gray area. There's no in between. Once we become a Christian, we have ceased from the power of sin. And before that, we couldn't help but sin. Everything we did was sin before that, even trying to do Christian acts. So let's look at a cross-reference that's really quite handy. It's Romans 8, starting in verse 5 and continuing. It says, for those who are according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those who are according to the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. Again, that dichotomy. No gray area. For the mindset on the flesh is death, but the mindset on the Spirit is life and peace. Because the mindset on the flesh is hostile towards God, for it does not subject itself to the law of God. And get this, for it is not even able to do so. Try as they might, a fleshly person cannot submit himself to the will of God. Oh, they could do Christian acts, but they're not doing the will of God. Verse 8, and those who are in the flesh cannot please God. So it just simply can't happen. But verse 9 says, however, you are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if indeed the Spirit of God dwells in you. But if anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, he does not belong to him. Again, you can do Christian acts, but if the Spirit is not in you and running the show, you simply are not a Christian. Okay, now I could go on in Romans 8, but I'm going to pause for a minute and tell about something personal. And this is very embarrassing, but my biggest sin for quite a few years has been pornography. And try as I might with my flesh, I could not conquer it. I could not stop. It had a very strong grip on me. And nothing I tried out of my own human efforts made it go away. However, at one point, I finally remembered I don't have to fight this. He could do this for me if I just surrender it to him. And I told him, you can have all of my sexuality, Lord, and all of my desires. They're yours. And from that point on, the Spirit was in control, and he's given me victory over it. It can happen. And so let's choose to love every moment, because then we're going to love every moment. I'm your average wretch, and I hope you have a great week.